back to the lab. I have Tammy Dean here, luxury real estate agent from La Jolla, the jewel of Southern California.
That's kind of a really cool title, Anthony. I mean, how did you come up with that aside from that's what's on my business card?
I'm all the obvious. That's just how you're known.
That's a full cup to fill right there.
It is. It was funny. When I first moved to La Jolla, I mispronounced La Jolla. It was La Jolla. And it's funny 20 years later that I still see people on like IG and whatnot. They're like, dude, I'm going to La Jolla. But you know what though? It's such a small place because it's not technically a city yet, right?
No, it's a community. And what's interesting, my office, Coldwell Banker Realty La Jolla, is literally on the main drag. If you know anything about Prospect, that's where La Valencia is, that's where George's is, that's where Jose's, the Spot, all of these timeless, iconic landmarks of La Jolla. And unless you know La Jolla, you won't know that there are so many different parts of La Jolla. You've got Bird Rock, you have the Muirlands, you've got Torrey Pines, you've got the Shores. So you've got so many different pockets that people, when they're visiting La Jolla, right? They don't know that there are so many cool spots to go to. You've got Black's Beach.
What's crazy though is because when you go there, it's a marine preserve. So when you get to the beach and the water, it's weird because it's almost like Caribbean-ish. Like you see through it and it's clear and it's green hues and you see the sea lions flying through. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. And then you go through the rocks. Have you ever gone through the kayaking to the caves and stuff?
Yes.
It's so sick. But it's one of those unique places, but it is really a hidden gem for California specifically. My office used to be right next door to George's. So
right on Prospect.
Right on Prospect, yeah, right on Prospect. And I remember just having this just the view is just the sickest view. But it's emotional. Especially when you have like the marine layer and you just want to have like a hot cup of coffee and you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do know because, like I said, our office being where it is, we have the best view of both worlds. And that is you have the view of Prospect and all of the activity going on. Then the view from the backside of the office is the ocean. So whenever I'm there, whether it's for floor time or meeting clients or just getting some work done, I'll arrive at 9 o'clock in the morning, and that marine layer is so socked in, and it stays like that for a while that all you want to do is go to the living room coffee shop and sit there on the couch and have coffee, right? Yeah. So it's like, oh wait, I'm supposed to work right now. I have to reshift my gears, and even when it's beautiful outside, you don't feel like you want to work. You want to go do the things that people are doing in La Jolla. They're out walking around. They're out having sorbet, they're having coffee, they're going to George's. Whenever I have floor time, I have such an opportunity, and I'm so blessed to be able to meet people from all over the world because La Jolla is a destination. Yeah. I mean, just the other day, I want to say I probably met 4 different individuals, one from Dubai, one from Abu Dhabi, one from Mallorca, and one from London, all of them visiting San Diego, but La Jolla, right? Yeah. So the attraction, it's pretty cool.
I think, one of the differences, it really feels like, they call it the village. So you go into the village and whatnot, but it's one of those areas where you're away from a lot of that LA vibe. It's not like LA and it's not like Orange County. It's not that kind of snooty. It is a more affluent community, but you'll be surfing next to like some CEO at a biotech company and you just don't even know. Right. And everybody's just super chill.
I think while we're talking about that, I've been here 32 years. You've been here a long time as well. Let's look at the lifestyle of San Diegans, right? Overall, compared to the Los Angeles or the San Franciscos or the Orange Counties, right? It's the demeanor and disposition is truly that right there. Flip-flops, you're out surfing early in the morning, you're going to go get fish tacos afterwards. There's a routine to everyone's life here because the weather dictates that, right? And you're right, whether you're surfing next to the CEO of a biotech company or sitting at any given restaurant in La Jolla or anywhere in San Diego, Encinitas for that matter, you could be sitting next to the CEO of Viore. right? Because the
You probably are.
and you probably are, right? And
but everybody's super chill.
That's
though.
it.
That's one of the biggest things that I think, and just in San Diego in general, I really, really loved. I came from Northern California. So coming from Northern California down to
Talk
San
about
Diego,
the open trunks in Northern California.
right? It is different.
Yeah.
So being born and raised in NorCal and living, going to places like San Francisco and living in San Jose and going through all the things that are there. The Bay Area is much more compartmentalized. There is, San Fran, your tech section. Then you have like, it doesn't feel cohesive. And so when I came to San Diego, it felt more like pockets. So if you went into a neighborhood, this neighborhood was different. If you went to Mission Hills, if you're in Gaslamp, if you're in Little Italy, they're all at Point Loma. They're very, very different vibe communities. OB, very different vibe communities. And that's what I really appreciate. But the nice thing about La Jolla is that you can be around that luxury vibe. Any tourist, anybody can come by and really see the Ferraris drive by and the Lambos, the Rolls Royces, all that kind of cool stuff. But you're not going to get that snootiness.
Pretension. The pretension, the entitlement.
I'm better than you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
it's very unassuming, which is, I love that about, La Jolla and San Diego proper, because it does have that vibe to it where, I mean, ever since, 3 years ago when, the pandemic took place, all of us who went into offices and reasonably dressed up to go into work don't do that anymore.
I'm still kind of personally getting adjusted to
that.
that.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm lucky if I get dressed anymore because, and again, the pandemic made a success out of companies like Vuori, made a success out of companies like Alo Yoga and Lululemon, because that leisure wear was the go-to and you didn't get out of it. And I haven't graduated from it. I mean, I should probably have stock in Vuori because I wear it every day, still continue to do. But my point is that vibe is very much part of La Jolla. It's very much part of who we are as San Diegans.
Yeah.
And when I'm speaking with potential buyers or even, someone who's looking to list their property in La Jolla or the surrounding areas, it's very interesting to speak with potential buyers and hear the reasons why they want La Jolla, right? What would you think some of the answers would be?
That's a tough one. I would assume because of the proximity to really pretty much anything I wanted. I can walk to the coffee shop. I can walk to the beach and go lay at the beach. I can have a great steak and a glass of wine at a nice restaurant with a ridiculous view. I mean, there's golfing right there the surf is right there. All the little best parts of San Diego, I feel, are encompassed within a 15-minute radius.
So you described 90% of the reasons that most potential buyers who want to move to La Jolla express. And it really boils down to walkability. Yep. It boils down to quality of life. That score has to be like a work-life balance. And it boils down to accessibility to everything outdoors.
And it's not like it's like basic. I mean, I'm talking about like my daughter goes to La Jolla High and they have a really good school. Like their theater is stupid. I am talking about like New York quality shows, Broadway. It is outstanding. I was blown away. I was really blown away because I didn't grow up like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because they spent a ton of money. It was because how much the community participates. Everybody, all the people that were there are fundraising for the school. They're contributing to the school. I mean, when I was when we're donating our time there, we would cover the snack stations. And I was next to, who was I doing the snack station with? Oh, a DA of San Diego. So, hey, awesome. What is your daughter? Oh, that's my daughter. My daughter. Oh, okay, cool. They're friends. Awesome. You guys got to come over. Oh, and we just start chatting it up and we're handing out Snicker bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of the vibe.
It's a community. It's a true community. Yeah. And they really support the arts. They support developing the next generation on so many levels. Yeah. And I think that's a good blanket statement for just California, right? Because we truly do take pride in that. Then you want to break it down to, you know, the communities like San Diego and Los Angeles, and it's a different vibe for each. And it goes back to the mentality and the mindset and the quality of life that we as San Diegans have, which translates over into even more of a community.
Much more down to earth.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. And I think there's a lot of factors that have created that space where we are now, right? I mean, you've been in the business for some time. I've been in long enough to see that, you know, where we are right now is very different, right? And at the end of the day, the attraction to those who are either in Southern California, San Diego proper, or are moving here for whatever reason, they still want to be here. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they relocated and they have to purchase as a first-time buyer, or you know, they're buying a home for the 10th time.
Yeah.
Or if it's somebody who's sitting on a ton of equity here and, you know, they want to put their cash into real estate instead of the stock market. Or if it's someone that just had another baby and they need more space. The bottom line is this: whether you are, you know, purchasing for those reasons or not, it's always attractive to purchase and own in San Diego, period.
I think that a lot of times too, people may feel like it's a little bit overwhelming in terms of like the expense of living in a community like that. But in reality, there's really a broad range of property. I mean, you and I, you had that, we were doing who was the baseball player? I forget.
Adrian Gonzalez?
Yeah. So a house like that.
In La Jolla, yes.
In La Jolla, I mean, sick house. But you can go down the street closer to the cove, closer to the water, and there's condos that are actually attainable. So you can be in a really good community. It's not the cheapest, but I think for what you get in terms of California, like let's say an example like San Jose or San Francisco, the price is going to be so much less, but for the quality of life that you'd probably pay quadruple for.
Right.
You know, and I even think I'm kind of rounding down.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that too, you know, because at the end of the day, it really does boil down to the quality of life. It does. And, you know, I get this question asked of me often, and it's like, you know, do you think it's a good time to buy or to sell? And my answer never changes. If you sell your property when you want to, purchase when you can afford it. It really does boil down to that. And I'll give you a pretty interesting story. So a colleague of mine who happens to be a realtor as well, she lived in Coronado, and she was locked in at like a 2.5% rate. The dream home that she and her family wanted was not on Coronado. It was elsewhere. And they decided to sell their home on Coronado, switch out that 2.5% rate for close to 7% for their dream home. And I asked her, I said, so what was your rationale? Because I know why you did it, but the average person out there would never understand that. And she said, I'm not going to let the interest rates and those numbers dictate what my family and I want to do. We can refi later.
Yeah, it's
right?
the long-term vision too.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great point, because I think when people start looking at interest rates being higher, especially the majority of those markets too, because they do sell and they do put a lot of equity down payment down. I want to say like almost 50% are cash, but it's because it's long-term investment strategy. That's not an area that's going to be not in demand. Other outskirt areas are going to fluctuate completely different. That's always going to be in demand.
Right.
The other thing I think about La Jolla that I don't think a lot of people appreciate is there's a lot of opportunity for upside in just developing on the property. I mean, there's stuff that, yeah, it's not the nicest, but if you put a little bit of work into it, I mean, your upside potential is fat. You know, because $200-300 a square foot that you're going to do renovation for, and you're selling for $1,000 to $1,500 a square foot.
It's the long-term vision.
But it's long-term.
It really is. And I think that, you know, as industry professionals, that's one of the things that I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to do, is to educate our clients, right? That yes, it may be X right now, but Y and Z is down the line, right? And if you can just hold on to what's going on here and trust the process, we'll get you there, right? We'll get you there. It might take a little bit of time, might take some, you know, moving parts and pivoting a little bit, but we'll get you there. But La Jolla, you know, for those of you who don't know, it's known as the jewel of the sea, right? And when you think of La Jolla, you think of that lifestyle. You think of all these landmark, iconic places to visit and places to eat and
If you
do
don't
things.
know, it could almost be overwhelming.
It is. It is
Yeah.
very, because again, when I have...
They don't see themselves there necessarily.
No, but they love the lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I asked this young couple 2 days ago that came into the office, I said, so why La Jolla? Why? Let's talk about the coastal communities of San Diego. You've had Del Mar, you have Cardiff, you have Encinitas. Why wouldn't you choose any of those? Mm-hmm. We want La Jolla and only La Jolla. I've done open houses in La Jolla where potential buyers have walked through the open house from Palm Beach and they say, what else do you have in La Jolla? Why just La Jolla? We only want La Jolla.
I mean, it really, because okay, so this is where I think it's really important with working with someone like you, because you do see the differences in each of the communities. And I'm really glad that you kind of brought that up is, when you're in Encinitas and Del Mar, which are both coastal communities, and even let's say North PB, coastal community, different vibe.
Point Loma, Sunset Cliffs.
Different vibe.
Right.
Completely different vibe. And so when you feel it when you're here, because if I'm in PB, especially, I'm not in my 20s anymore, right?
We can think that way all day.
Yeah.
Though, yeah.
But you're in PB when you're in PB.
Oh,
and that's
gosh.
cool. It's okay to take
You
friends
can't miss
and stuff
it.
and
You can't miss
go
it.
to the boardwalk in Mission and maybe go surf and stuff. And it's just different. It's just a different vibe when you go even eat in the restaurants and how the vibe is. And it's cool. I like taking my kids there sometimes. But when you start going up the coast a little bit, and especially when you get to Bird Rock is such a locals vibe.
Wind and sea. Especially.
Such a locals
Nautilus.
vibe. Nautilus, such a locals vibe. And then as you keep kind of going down, it's all a little different. Then once you get into the cove, actually La Jolla Shores, when you get to the shores, one of my favorite places to take the fam is to watch sunsets there. Because you have like the wall, and it's just, you can sit on it and it's just,
it's a vibe.
It's a vibe. It's
and
just different.
Anthony, as you're recreating these scenes, I'm thinking in my head, every day that I drive into the office, when you come off of the La Jolla Parkway and you drop down into La Jolla, then you can see the peekaboo view. But then all the traffic, it doesn't matter that there's traffic.
Well,
it
just
doesn't.
that stupid light.
Well, yeah, but it's just part of the journey, right? It's part of the experience. You're like, oh my gosh, look at the ocean. It's right there. And then as you start cruising through, you have Hidden Valley Road on the left, which if you go up Hidden Valley Road, there's so many amazing houses back there that are so unassuming, and you can't even tell the vast majority of what the house encompasses by the street. You can't.
You want to know a secret?
Yeah.
So when I take my daughter to school in the morning, we purposefully go. This sounds funny. Ask my daughter, I go, over the hill or through the woods? Because over the hill is straight over the hill, and then through the woods we go back to UCSD.
Oh wow!
Around the backside of UCSD where the aquarium is.
Yeah.
And come down through where the wharf sticks out.
Yeah.
And we come down the wharf and come along the coast that way. Just because we'll look at the time, we'll see how much time she has to get to school. I'll just say over the hills or through the woods, and she goes through the woods, Dad.
So does that shave off any time for you? Just out of curiosity.
It actually is about the same amount of time, but it's just
scenic.
like we're taking the scenic route.
Yeah.
There's no traffic.
That's the thing about La Jolla too. If you could literally, there's a gentleman that I work with in my office, and he is a true local La Jolla boy.
Yeah.
Went to school. Born, bred, raised, and he's an agent in my office with me. And he does this thing for new agents or, agents in the office that don't know La Jolla. And he calls it, we're going to go do the La Jolla tour. And he'll, we'll get in his car and he'll drive for 3 hours the different communities of La Jolla. And he'll point out, that's Wind and Sea. Wind and Sea is known for X, Y, and Z.
You should make him drop down through the rocks.
No, literally. and he'll take you through down where the sea. I mean, it's just an amazing tour.
But that's crazy because, when you start right there, just like UCSD, and I've taken my kids in there and we watch the paragliders. So you just go down there and it's just the grass and it has the slope that comes off. And then you're just watching these paragliders in front of you. And it's like, I don't know, we're not paying for anything to be here, but how often are you just sitting there looking at the ocean off of cliff, watching paragliders, having a picnic? It doesn't cost you a dime, but it's a vibe. Then you're like, hey, Sunday morning, let's go for a walk. And you go to Torrey Pines and then you go down the cliffs and you're like seeing the coast and just a beautiful coastline. You're not spending a dime. It's pure quality.
Nature.
Quality. Yeah. It's so.
I always say this too. Whenever I walk Torrey Pines, I always say, "Gosh, when you get up to the top and you can see the ocean, then when you come back down, you end up at the ocean."
Yeah.
I always say to myself, people pay a lot of money to visit our backyard.
I know.
Like, this is our backyard,
I know.
right? And I oftentimes find myself not taking advantage of our backyard because we're so used to it.
Yeah.
When I drive through La Jolla, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm just try whatever. I need to get to where I'm going.
Yeah.
I got to get over to Faye. I have to get over here. But then you stop and think about it. People fly from all over the world to be where we live.
I'm assuming you've been to Caroline's before, right? Have you gone to Caroline's?
Caroline's.
Do you know where that's at? So if you go to UCSD, right where it bends towards the end of the beach line, and then the wharf is the Scripps Pier is right there.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the Scripps Pier, there's a hidden restaurant right there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called Caroline's.
Is it near where?
By UCSD, as you come down.
Is it near that little pocket at the shores where there's restaurants and retail?
No.
So it's away from it.
Further up. Yeah. So if you walked all the way up to the end of the beach, and you get to where the pier is at, where all the surfers are.
Caroline's.
Yep. There's a staircase right there. Walk up the staircase. There's a little place called Caroline's. There's a deck, a viewing deck, okay? Huge like viewing deck with tables. You go inside Caroline's, there is a breakfast place in there. They make like waffles and
like it's a full-on restaurant?
Yeah, it's a full-on restaurant. Waffles and bagels and lox, French toast, that kind of thing. Anyhow, go get food, walk out to the viewing deck, and you're literally like right there having breakfast, and the unobstructed view, because it's the grass below you, then it's the beach, and then you see all the surfers.
Wow.
Caroline's.
I'll have to, if anybody from Caroline's is watching this ever at all,
yeah,
then
I should put like a little on the bottom. Here's
yes.
Matter of fact, Mark, if we can,
yes.
my editor, let's put a link to Caroline's. Caroline's, props to you guys.
Yes.
I always take my friends and family there because it's a hidden spot. I found another hidden spot up on the hill. It's called the Hidden Cafe.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
That I've heard of.
I want to take my daughter there.
I think it's cool that you're doing this with your daughter. How old is she?
She's 15, going to be 16.
So she's really getting, and how long have you been doing this with her? Over the hill and through the woods?
Well, she went to Muirlands, so she's now 1, 2, 3, 4. This is probably about a 4th or 5th year.
I think this is really cool. This is like hand in hand with the sort of development and nurturing that they get, period, right? At this age. Mm-hmm. It shows her the value of the simple things.
I take her to the living room when we get really early.
It's really cool.
On the late start days, we go to the living room to get our pastries and our teas. We get the
oh my God, that is so cute.
The London fog. Yeah,
tea and pastries with your dad.
Yeah, so we stop by there because it's a late start.
Like, are you grooming her to move to London? Is that what's happening
here? Well, no,
here?
because you know what? So my daughter's a very good kid. And that's
she seems like she's like a wise old soul. Like she seems like she's so much more evolved.
But I would like to say that we're like the best parents in the world, but we're not. Mm. I feel it is truly because of the community. Mm. That's why. And I had a person really rebuttaling me on this, like, oh, you're doing it for XYZ. I'm like, you don't get it because you don't live here. But when I took the kids trick-or-treating, like at the high school, when they're at the high school, and I've done this with the parents, they deck the whole school out. So it's like the horror scene. And there's like a line all the way down the street and around the block. And they have this chainsaws and whatnot. Yeah. And like the whole theater, they go all out.
Oh, yeah. Christmas too.
Yeah. I was manning the fog machine and stuff. And they got zombies and all these other things. They go all out. And then if you go into Bird Rock and trick-or-treating, forget about it. It is like the fair. Everybody's out there trick-or-treating. All the houses are all decked out. Yeah. There's a few places like that in San Diego. I know that Kensington does it too.
Oh,
we go
my
to Kensington.
Gosh. Oh, yeah.
Kensington does it too. But it's really surprising, though, how a community like that operates in the way it does, and you would never know. Mm-mm. You would never know.
You wouldn't. Because, again, I believe that's reserved for those who truly call La Jolla home. Mm. Because you wouldn't know those things otherwise. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't know those things visiting once or twice, right? I feel like, anywhere in San Diego, if you're purchasing a home for the first time and you're looking to and it's your truly your first home, and you know that it's going to be where you land for the next 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years, and then you're going to move to a different community once you learn about San Diego. We know that property will always rent. There's never been an issue with rentals. So once you start to get your groove on about what San Diego is about, and you land in La Jolla, it's almost like, oh my gosh, this is where I want to be. This is my forever place for a variety of reasons, right? And
I think a long-term hold strategy for that place is there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I work with 2 very seasoned agents in my office, and they've been in the business for 45 years and doing business in La Jolla for 42. They've seen La Jolla change. They offer such wealthy nuggets of information. I mean, and they're little tidbits too. They'll say something and you just look at them and go, wow, you were here when that was going on, when that building was just being constructed. So they're history makers, if you were, or just a wealth of information. And to hear them talk about La Jolla, imagine the book that would read, right? It's just, I think the opportunities are just, it doesn't matter what side you live on either, right? Like let's take the Muirlands, for example. That is truly a pocket perched up high.
Yeah.
Right? Where you have Muirlands Vista Way, then you have Muirlands Drive. You have all these pockets where the view just gets better and better and better.
Yeah.
On the backside, you've got Mount Soledad, right? Which borders, as we know, PB on the backside of it, but it's still considered La Jolla. So you've got that.
I mean, you're going to get a big house for the price.
Look, I mean,
it's not that far distance if you're trying to, and you're still in the school district, so that's going to be a concern.
That's it.
I mean, when my kids were going to private school, some of the schools that we went down to in La Jolla in general were there's so many different schools to put him into. It was hard for us to even decide because they all offered something slightly different. She ended up going to Beth Montessori, the Jewish school that's up in there. Great school, awesome. It was sick. I loved it. But her friends over time ended up going. She has friends that go to Bishop, which that's another outstanding private school.
All these plugs, Anthony. You need to make sure, like, at the bottom, please.
Yeah, at the bottom. But I'm serious though. Like,
no,
Bishop's
for real.
That's a beautiful camp.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful school.
Yeah,
especially right there. I mean, her school is not bad. We're walking in there, and I'm in her classroom. I'm sitting in one of her classrooms because, like, parent teacher day or anything. And I look out the window and I'm just looking at like the ocean, and it's a public school. I'm like, wait a minute. But then I have times where my friends, I'm not a golfer, but then they like to golf. And then
I'm shocked in our business. You kind of have to be a golfer.
I can't. I'm a shooter, but
I used to drive the cart and just serve the alcohol. That was my role.
But if you're a resident and then you go play in Torrey Pines and you're just you're paying the resident fee. So now this is a place where you're having PGA tournaments, yet it's in your backyard.
Right.
Not even 10 minutes away. So
South and North Torrey, right? I mean, depending on what side you're on, and especially when you're hiking Torrey.
Yeah.
And there's a golf tournament going on, you literally can walk along the course, and I don't know what side of the course that is, but you can walk along it and you can see part of what's going on over there on the golf course.
I just go there to eat.
I mean, how do you
I just go to the lodge.
Right. I mean, how do you describe that to someone though? Oh, I took a hike this morning and I got to see part of the Farmers Open.
Yeah.
How do you, and I wasn't even there. I was walking along and on the other side, do you know what I mean? How do you describe that to someone?
Yeah.
That isn't, and it's so funny when you see, social media or pictures of La Jolla and PB and whatnot, only living in California can you identify with that, right? Yeah. I mean, it's hard to describe, it's hard to put into words how you feel about what's available to us.
Yeah.
Right. And selling real estate in California, then breaking it down to different cities and communities in California. Then we really break it down to San Diego County. Then we go down to the, communities themselves, La Jolla. I mean, right now I have a listing in Campo, which, as we all know, is way east up in the mountains. And I have one in Lemon Grove. I have one coming soon south. But when you start thinking about the pockets where we live and we play and we work, it really makes you think about how it's an attraction. Oh yeah. Right. People from Arizona.
I've been to the snow in Alpine in the same day at the beach. So, and it was maybe an hour and a half total distance of drive. The only reason I know this is because I took the kids we went up to Alpine, got some apple pie, played in the snow for a while. And then when we shot back down, some friends had called and they're like, hey, we're going to go to World Famous.
Yeah, love that
Right?
place.
So my wife heard, she was like, World Famous? They're going to be at World Famous? Can we go? I'm like, sure. Why not? It's our day off, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So now we're in, PB at the beach, and it was weird. Weird.
I describe it as, where else in this country or this world for that matter, can you drive, be at the beach in one moment and drive an hour or so and be at the desert and drive another hour or so and be in the mountains? Like, where can you live where you have accessibility to all of
Without
that?
living here, I can't even think of another community. I guess you kind of could somewhat in the Bay Area, but not like the beaches here. You're not going to get the tropical beach. No, for sure you're not going to get that. I was thinking about that earlier. I'm like, would Santa Barbara? No, you'd have the beach. You'd have
that whole pier. You have that whole vibe down there or up there.
It wouldn't be the same.
No.
You wouldn't get that out of LA for sure. Orange County. No, I can't.
And here's another tidbit. So where else can you be where, let's say you're in PB having lunch or what have you, and you just take a walk, right, along the beach, and you end up in the turquoise area, the Bird Rock, the Nautilus, the Wind and Sea, and the weather changes. Right?
Yeah.
You go from, oh my gosh, it is
absolutely.
So beautiful to, whoa, we're socked in.
I don't know why Point Loma always reminds me of San Francisco.
Yes.
Because as soon as I get there, because the way that the horn comes out, the hook of the cliff line, but as soon as you cross into OB, boom, overcast, dewy, misty, that vibe over that way, just different.
I love that.
It's unless you experience it, it's hard. And even when I've gone to the beach, the way the marine layer just stopped like a wall.
It's socked in completely.
You can see it. I was telling somebody the other day, I go, the weatherman's job in San Diego is probably one of the worst jobs ever. And I go, could you imagine every single day you're like, okay, it's going to be 65 degrees and overcast till 10:30.
Are they ever accurate though?
Yeah, but it's right. Even with our hurricane.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, that's a whole different now.
But they're like 10:30. It's going to be overcast, and the skies are going to clear. We're going to hit in the high 70s. Overcast is going to come back in.
How do they know that?
6 o'clock. I mean, but it's the same thing over and over. This year in particular is one of those weird anomaly years.
Oh no.
We've had a lot more overcast or June gloom this year than any other year I can remember.
Well, the first 8 months was pretty much raining.
Yeah.
I don't think it became true summer until late June, early July. Because I remember 4th of July being right? And I thought to myself, wow. And now look, school is going back into session. It's like, wait a minute, what happened to summer?
I feel like we were robbed of summer this year.
Dude, it's just
my whole
the
time
weirdest
living here
thing.
is the first time.
It's the most, and the weather we've been having. But again, whether it's all of these things that we are complaining about, which we really aren't, we're just making light of it.
Boo-hoo for us.
Right. There's so many people who are willing to move here right now.
How sad is that? Why we had more overcast than usual because we're so spoiled with it.
But truly, the truth of the matter is we're spoiled.
I'm like, we are spoiled.
And you know what? Rightfully so, because we do have a lot to put up with here.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just keep that real, right? A lot of people who live elsewhere are always complaining about Californians and the wild, wild west and this, that, and the other. And yeah, we are.
But we are,
and that's
isolated,
okay.
Though. I think in terms of California in particular, San Diego is its own pocket. It's because even when you leave Orange County and you go from San Onofre to Oceanside, there's a
different
gap.
vibe
There's
right
like a
there.
huge land gap, and then you get to San Diego, and then everything changes. And
Oceanside,
yeah,
right when you hit Oceanside and Vista,
everything changes.
Like, oh wait, Pendleton, you're in a different mindset.
Yeah,
right.
It starts changing.
It's a graduation of sorts from let's just go from LA down to Orange County down to San Diego County. The vibe is so different, and you can feel it even if you don't go into Orange County proper. You can you can just feel going through Laguna Niguel, Aliso Viejo. You can feel that, right? And then you roll up to Pendleton, and you're you feel military, you like the
Yeah,
military
yeah,
vibe
yeah.
all of a sudden. And
Yeah.
even more when you get to Oceanside. And then you get to Vista and you're like, okay, now I'm starting to get into North County.
It gets country.
It gets country, right? And then you get there and then you get to where it's really weird, Lucadia.
Yeah, I'm
and
talking
then
about
you're-
gets country, cowboy cat
like
country.
so I
Like,
mean is that
it
that's
gets
country.
straight up country. They have
it does.
chickens in their houses.
It totally
and-
quail.
and- yeah.
Quail
But I mean,
farms.
country, real country. Like you have like rolling hills and people have these like couple acres on a lot.
I
and
have
horses in their backyards.
I had these clients. They had a quail farm on their property and they were looking to move. And I said they were going to sell. And I go, okay, so the replacement home that we're going to, I mean, are we counting in the farm, the quail farm? Yeah.
Avocados.
They go, yeah. I go, oh, well, how many quail are we talking about?
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
I go, I'm thinking, there's no way.
Yeah.
What? I said, I can find a sanctuary for the quail,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, we want land. And Vista is where they wanted to go. Vista, because of the vast opportunity for land.
It's crazy. I went out there one time with my family. It wasn't Vista. It was in Escondido, but like North
Again,
Escondido.
another neighborhood right there.
Yeah, another neighborhood. So we were in North Escondido, and it was a house that was for sale. And the house, they had it for wedding events. But this house somehow, I want to say it was built like in the 40s, maybe 50s, like a lodge style. But it was a big house. It was a really big house. They held it for events, but the whole decor of the house was that whole cowboy style.
Oh, I love it.
It was super cowboy.
Like vintage.
It's super vintage.
I
Propped up on
love
the
it.
hill. So you know how it's like the rock, desert rock, but it's
Yes.
like it's high up on the hills.
Farmhouse chic.
Yeah.
That boy, yeah.
It was. It
Yeah.
was very like that. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is crazy. And they had everything from, you know, they had the obvious horses and the bulls and whatnot, but then they had like ostriches and
Oh
they
my
had like emus and peacocks and all this. Like, it was like a little farm. It was really weird. Then we left from there. We went down, and then it was a like the Indian. It wasn't quite Pala. Maybe it was.
Oh my
Pala.
gosh, you're really getting
No.
country. Bonzal.
Yeah, but no,
Valley
but they
Center.
had
Fallbrook.
zip lines
Yes.
where they go and they do like
Yes,
zip lines through
yes,
the canyons.
yes.
And then because when we got there, they were zip lining. We were going to do some zip lining, and then on the opposite side was a motor tracks where they're doing like the dirt bikes and
my
the jumps and
gosh.
stuff. You can see it off to the distance, and they're doing
Oh
like dirt
my
bikes and
gosh.
stuff. So, but it was just weird. I had friends here from New York. And they're like, man, there's a lot of things to do in San Diego. And this is not like pitching all the stuff to do in San Diego. Trust
But
me.
no, we are though.
We're not trying to get San Diego more populated than it needs to be.
No, it is America's finest city for a reason. And these are just one of few reasons as to why it really is. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
I mean, as many people that are moving out, people are moving in.
And yeah, very true. Most people from San Diego are not from San Diego.
No, they're
originally.
transplants. And then when you meet the ones that are from San Diego, they fit the bill to a T, the vibe we're describing. Because that's
Flip-flops,
all they
the
know.
shorts.
That's all they know.
Super chill.
Go to a listing appointment and Tommy Bahama shirt and board shorts.
And yeah.
And
a
nail
trip-
it.
And a trip to some brewery.
Yeah, that's it, right? So I mean, you know, when you start getting out into the country like Escondido and Bonzal and Valley Center and Fallbrook, I'm telling you right now, there are pockets of Escondido that it's the historic old
But then you
Escondido.
go to the zoo, and then you go to the outdoor zoo over there, and then, and then you go south a little bit more, and then you go to the casino.
It's like okay, this goes back to why we are America's finest. I mean, where can you go to be in the beach, to be in the mountains, to be in the desert? Oh, and by the way, on the way we're going to stop at the casino, and by the way we're going to stop at, you know, Legoland, and by the way we're going to stop at the track because it happens to be race season.
Yeah,
I mean, where you
why
can
is
make
everybody all suited up with these big
right,
hats?
right, you know, and then why is the traffic so crazy? Oh, we got people from Arizona here. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, great. So these are things that you can't know or possibly know unless you live here.
Yeah, yeah.
You live, sleep, drink, breathe, everything here.
Yeah.
Because truly, we know as locals, you don't get on the 5 freeway going north during track season
Yeah.
and during the fair. You just don't do it.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you subject yourself to that?
You just know. You
Yeah.
just know how busy it gets. Yeah.
And that's the thing. And, you know, and at the same time, we're woe is me because we're complaining about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a reality for us. This is where we live. But overall, I mean, it remains to be one of the best places, if not the best place. Every time I leave San Diego to go visit another state or country and fly back into San Diego.
We didn't even talk about like downtown.
Oh my gosh. It just brings that. You just see the skyline. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm home. I'm home.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what they're going to start doing with all that, because they have so much plans with all the redevelopment of Seaport Village.
Oh, IQHQ, RAD, all of that.
Yeah, that's going to be
all
crazy.
of that is just, and what they're doing at Horton Plaza, the campus.
The campus,
It's going to be insane. And there is so much opportunity coming to San, and they've got Apple. Where's Apple now? It's in
part of the campus.
Yeah. So
so Horton Plaza got completely all renovated
demoed,
out,
right?
So they can do that into like a tech hub.
Right.
So that's supposed to be a big tech hub now.
Yeah.
And then when you go to the not quite Seaport Village, but I forget the right across from the, oh my gosh, the restaurant that's at the top of the building, Italian
Mr.
restaurant.
A's?
No, it's that secret place that you go into.
The Grand
Intercontinental. No, you go into the Intercontinental.
Oh, Del Frisco's.
No, next to that. So go into the Intercontinental, go to the top.
Yeah.
And then they make the cheese and the mozzarella there from scratch on the top.
I can't remember the name of it.
Well, across from that building, the Manchester right there, that's all going to be all high-end stores, high-end, like that's supposed to be like our
retail,
our Rodeo Drive.
Very nice. We need that.
Yeah.
I need another reason to shop. Come on.
Yeah.
Don't make it
they're
easy
supposed
for
to
me.
start developing that kind of stuff, but yeah, I mean, we didn't even go into detail of a lot of other places.
There's just too much to cover. There's too much to cover, but hold please.
I know. It's all good. We'll wrap. So, but I know, right? Mark? No, it probably doesn't pick it up on the mics anyways.
Oh,
it's okay. We have clients here coming in. Yes, we do work for a living.
I mean, kinda.
Yeah.
It is Friday.
It is Friday.
Yeah. But overall, it's a great spot to be. San Diego is a great spot to be. I love being in La Jolla. I love being able to help clients, just because I do a lot of, I'm designated global luxury, but that doesn't mean I don't help the person who's looking for a mobile home.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean I don't help someone who's only looking to purchase land. To me, real estate is real estate.
Yeah.
My hustle, whether it's a $45,000 mobile home or a $10.2 million, home, my hustle will stay the same. Mm-hmm. I show up either way, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to have the passion for it like we do. Yeah. We've seen a lot happen. We've seen a lot change. And you just have to turn and pivot every now and again and say, okay, how do I adjust to this, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
There's so much more we could cover. That'll be for another episode. But all in all, it's going to be, La Jolla is listen, if we're plugging right now, I want a plug for Aviator Nation and Viore in La Jolla. That's what I want, because you're like right across the street from each other. I can't not stop in when you're right there on my way to my office.
Awesome.
It's a blessing and curse, but thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming in.
Appreciate it. In spite of the babies crying and everything, it's all good. Real estate's always this.
Real estate.
Yeah.
This is a real estate office.
Peace out.
Out.